All right, if we can have people come on in and take a seat, we'll get ready to get started. My name is Todd Grantham. I'm here as part of NAIFA's National Member Benefits Committee, and we're getting ready to hear Daniel Finley talk about getting beyond the production plateau. I'd like to make sure everybody turns off their cell phones and anything else that makes a noise unless they feel like giving money to the PAC, because as my state's PAC chair, I can figure out a way for it to count in North Carolina. At this time, I'd like to introduce Dan. Dan is president and co-founder of Advisor Solutions, a consulting and coaching service that helps advisors build their better businesses. His brokerage career began in 1993 and includes 14 years as a successful financial advisor. He is well known for his book, 101 Advisor Solutions, and a financial advisor's guide to strategies that educate, motivate, and inspire. I'd like to all welcome Daniel Finley. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Now, typically, I don't like to stand up on a podium. I'm kind of loud, FYI. Typically, I don't like to stand up on a podium. But here's what I'd like to do before I start, because this is the end of the day. And I want to make sure that we give a round of applause for the people that are here at the end of the day. That it was a great conference. It really was. And I know not everything's not over, but let's do a round of applause for ourselves and everybody else in this room. Good, good. I was going to make you do a standing ovation for yourself, but I held off. So as you know, I'm Dan Finley, president of Advisor Solutions. Advisor Solutions is a business development, consulting, and coaching service. We're in the business of helping advisors build a better business. Now, one of the ways that we do that is by helping people get beyond the production plateau. And that's what we're going to talk about today, getting beyond the production plateau, the solutions to your business evolution. Now, I had the pleasure of talking to the Yats. Do they call them Yats? Is it plural? I don't know. All the young advisor team. Oh, I think it was about 2 or 3 days ago. I don't even know. Everything's a blur. And it was great to talk to them, and they were kind of at a spot. A lot of those folks are at a spot where they're just trying to get their business up and running. Now, here's what I found, though, after you get your business up and running. In fact, I read this, that the average financial advisor hits a production plateau at about year 5. Okay? Now, I don't know if that's true for agents, if they hit a production plateau in year 5. But I do know this. I absolutely believe this, that you can hit a production plateau anytime in your career. Now, let's see a show of hands of how many people have hit a plateau ever in their career. Okay? Now, let's see a show of hands of how many people just lied. Oh? Okay. Well, I know I've hit production plateaus, and it reminds me of a client that I had for years, Gail. In fact, I don't know if he's in here, but one of the guys that I talked to, Mike Smith, good guy, who I met here, he had said, Mike, are you here? No? Okay, so I'll talk about him. So Mike Smith, I was telling him a story, and I said, you know, I'm going to tell that story when I speak to you folks today. It's a story about Gail. Now, Gail was a 32-year veteran when she called me. Now, Gail called me up, and she said, I need some help. And this was in 2009, the summer of 2009. And she said, I need some help. My business is at a plateau. It's stagnated, okay? So she got into the Advisor Solutions Smart Start program, which is a 24-week group coaching program. I call it Smart Start. The acronym SMART is an acronym for Systematically Managing Activities Requires Training. Systematically Managing Activities Requires Training. Now, the interesting thing about her is she got into the group coaching program in the summer of 2009. She was having a tough time, but she was starting to apply some of this stuff. And things were starting to change for her, but not quickly enough for her. Okay, so picture this. She calls me in November 2009, so she had been in for a few months, and she said to me, I think I need more help. I want to do one-on-ones. And I do one-on-ones as well as group. And I said, okay, tell me a little bit about what's going on. She said, I feel overwhelmed. I've just got so many clients and so many things to do. I feel overwhelmed, but I also feel concerned. And I said, why do you feel concerned? And she said, well, it seems like I'm being threatened. See, the company she works for, or still works for, has kind of alluded to the fact that if you don't hit your goals, your corporate goals, by January 1st, we might have to restructure this and we might have to let you go. Does anybody here know of anybody that's ever been in that situation? See that? Yeah? It's not a fun place to be. So she was nervous, and this was in November 2009. And so they tell her about, right around Thanksgiving, you better hit your goals. Well, she was close. She was close. And we really focused on the activities. In fact, what we did is we focused on her daily goals. But goals alone aren't the answer. It's not the solution. Goals are a start, a great start, but not a great ending. So what we did is we focused on activities. See, our goal, and I have more to the PowerPoint than just this, FYI, but our goal really wasn't so much about just the goal. It was about doing the activities in order to hit the goal. Okay, so we focused on daily activities, how many people she was going to see, what she was going to do, who she was going to try to close, things like that. And then we focused on so we had to make it a game, FYI. So she was emailing me every night after the game, telling me, did she win or did she lose? Now, here's the interesting part. We made it a little bit more important to her. She had some skin in the game. We had a reward system. We had a punishment system. So if she hit her daily rewards, or she hit her goals, she gave herself a reward. But if she didn't, she gave herself a punishment system. See, what I was trying to do is help her focus on the activities and not the goals itself. Because if we did enough of the activities, she was going to hit the what? Exactly, the goals. So we focused on her skill sets. See, if we focused on her skill sets and helped her get better at things such as setting the appointments, handling the objections, closing and looking for closing signals, and getting her to be able to know what to do and how to close. This is a 32-year veteran. But if we could focus on the skill set, she would have better results. So, this might be a trick question. What do you think happened to her? Do you think she hit her goals that year? Anyone? Yeah. I heard a no in the background. Way back there, I think I heard somebody say no. Yeah, she did. She hit her goals. And when she did, what was interesting about that, when she hit her yearly goal, which she was really working hard towards the end to hit this, what was interesting about that, it wasn't just the fact that she hit the goal, but what happened after that. Here's what happened. She vowed to never be put in this position again or put herself in this position again. Never to be on that production plateau again. Okay? Does that make sense, everyone? Yeah? Okay, because it's not a fun place to be, especially if the corporate headquarters or somebody's saying, hey, if you don't hit your goals, we're going to find someone else, especially after 32 years. So she also vowed that she was going to take this very seriously. See, she drank the Kool-Aid a little bit. She got some results, and she felt good about it. So here's what happened in 2010. In fact, at the beginning of 2010, she said to me, so what do I need to do to keep this momentum going? I don't want to be in this position in November again. And I said, here's what you do. You listen to me. That's the first thing. You listen to me. And I'm going to tell you what to do, and we're going to sharpen your skill set, and we're going to keep this momentum going, and you're going to consistently hit your goals by hitting your activities. And that's what she did. So by the end of 2010, she was up 60%. 60%. Now that's a good ending to the story, but that's not the ending of the story. The next year, she had surgery. So she was out for a couple of months, but she was up another 10% on top of that previous 60%. She was on a roll, and she felt good about it. She felt really good about it. So the next year, in 2012, she was up 75% from the previous year when she was up 10%. From the previous year, she was up 60%. From the previous year, that she barely hit her goals. So do you think she was liking her business a lot more? Let me try it again. Do you think she was liking her business more? Yes. Oh, yeah. She loved it. So in January 2013, she said to me, hey, Dan, this is kind of bittersweet. I just got to tell you what's going on. I've been thinking a lot about this. Last year was a great year. We hit 75% up from the previous year and so on and so forth. She said, here's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to stop getting coaching. And I thought this is the beginning of the end. I thought what's going to happen to her is she's going to hit that production plateau or maybe even a decline. But she vowed she wouldn't do that. And she just worked hard, and she worked smart. And here's what happened. I got an email from her. I get emails every once in a while and phone calls, and, hey, Dan, call me. I just had to tell someone this, and I had to tell someone that. And she asked me she shot me an email about 2 weeks ago, and she said, September is a record month. I said, fantastic. How's your year? She said, you're not going to believe this. A record year. A record year. And I was happy for her. So, in fact, when she hit her goal, and then she exceeded her goals by 60% in 2011, these people that were about to let her go, they came to her corporation, and they said, we would like you to be one of the 20 women of distinction in our company. We don't know how you went so far up in your production, and we want you to tell other people how to do it, which is great. So it's funny how things can kind of change, but she felt great about it. Now, so what do you think Gail learned from this? Anyone, what do you think Gail learned?
Self-discipline.
Richard said self-discipline. Yep, self-discipline. What else? Derek, what do you think she learned from all of this? She learned coaching is important. Yep. Derek's on the payroll. No, he's not. No, he is now. What else do you think she learned, Shelley?
Learned where to focus.
She learned where to focus. Yeah. She had a lot of fun doing it, too. She learned what we're going to talk about today, that most advisors and agents have the challenge of being stuck on a production plateau. The solution begins by understanding that success is a process. You see, success, I don't know what this deal is. I don't know if I'm supposed to sing in this or what, but let's move this thing out of the way. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I could pass that mic around. Success is a process. Success is a process, and she got it, that it's a process. You see, we all do our activities, but do we do those effectively? When I was in the 7th grade, I told the Yats this the other day, when I was in the 7th grade, I went to basketball camp. And in basketball camp, I remember this coach, he was actually a college player. I remember him saying to an auditorium full of kids that were all sitting on the floor, he said, I want this one kid, he had a kid come up, and he handed him a basketball, and he said, shoot the basketball. And then he said, now I'm not trying to pick on him, but I want to explain something. That practice does not make perfect. Practice does not make perfect. We've all heard practice makes perfect. What he said, and I was a little shocked. I thought, okay, so I don't need to practice. Which I was doing that already, not practicing. So he said, yeah. So I thought, I'm going to get really good at this. So what he said, it doesn't work like that. He said, practice makes permanent. Practice makes permanent. You see, if you practice the wrong way, I don't know if anybody golfs in this room, if you practice the wrong way, you'll be a bad golfer, And so it's important to know how to practice the right way. That's why the acronym is SMART START. SMART stands for is the acronym that I made up, which is systematically managing activities requires training. Systematically managing activities requires training. In other words, if I want to do things a little smarter and work smarter than harder, then I need to have some training and learn from other people. So, what's interesting about this is that people don't become successful, like I said, by accident. They really don't. But Gail didn't know this. See, Gail was kind of caught up in her head. She was afraid. She was thinking, uh-oh, if I don't hit these numbers, I'm going to get fired. It's called unconscious incompetence. Has anybody ever heard of that term before? Let's see a show of hands. Yeah? Unconscious incompetence, for those who have never heard this, is I don't know what I don't know, and I don't even know I don't know it. I don't know what I don't know, and I don't even know that I don't know it. You're so lost, you don't even know what the challenges are. And I remember the day that I realized that. You see, what you know about me is that I own Advisor Solutions. And I've been coaching people for almost 10 years. In January, it'll be 10 years, so I'm going to round up. And but what you might not know about me, although maybe Todd said this, is that I was in production for 13 years. When I got in production, I didn't know what I didn't know. And I didn't even know it I didn't know it. And I remember the day that I got on the elevator, and it was before, and I told the Yats this for Paul and whoever else is in the room that sat through it the other day. I got in the elevator, and the elevator door, it was before work. It was before 8 o'clock, and the elevator doors were starting to shut. Nobody was around. But I heard somebody running up to the elevator, and he yelled, "Hold the elevator." So I held the elevator for this guy. This guy came just shooting into the elevator, and he looked at me. He looked at me, and I knew who this guy was. This guy was a veteran advisor in my office. This guy had 25 years of experience when I thought 25 years was a long time. Yeah. I don't think it is now, because that was 20 years ago. So he looked at me, thanked me, thanks. He looked at me, and he said, "Hey, how's the business going?" And without even thinking at all, I looked at this guy, and I said, "I feel like I'm treading water and looking for land." Now, I don't know if you caught that, but if you've ever been out on the ocean and you've been in a boat, okay? Let's say you dive over and you're in the ocean. Okay, you can't see land. And you come back up and the boat's gone. And you're swimming around. You could swim over this way and drown. You could swim that way and drown. The point is, if you don't know which way to go, you're lost. That's not where you want to be. That's how Gail felt after 32 years. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is I went back to my office. Actually, the doors opened up. The guy goes off to the left to his office, corner office. And he said, "Well, good luck with that." And he just went off to his court. Yeah, that helped out. Yeah, let me write that down. Yeah, that's a write down. So, and then I said, "Thanks." And I slithered back to my office because I was a little embarrassed. And I sat in my office, this little tiny thing that used to be literally a closet. They put me in the closet. This was a big closet, but a small office with no windows and a broken heater. And I sat there and I thought to myself, wait a minute, why did I say that? I feel like I'm treading water and looking for land. And I realized I didn't even know what the challenges were. I was so lost. So I started looking for the challenges. I'm having a hard time setting appointments. Challenge. What's the solution? I meet with people and they don't want to meet a second time. Challenge. What's the solution? I meet with people and I show them my recommendations and I did all this work and they say, "I want to think about it." Anybody ever go through that? Let's see a show of hands. Yeah? And you think to yourself, uh-oh, I think I got a challenge. Everybody's thinking about it. Here's a little tip. You might want to write this down or commit it to memory. They're not thinking about it. They're not thinking about it. No, they just didn't tell you the real objection. So I sat there and I thought to myself, all right, what do I do? So I started looking for the challenges and looking for the solutions. So what does this have to do with you? Well, maybe you don't know how to get beyond the production plateau. Maybe you've been on a production plateau for the last few years and you're not sure how to go forward. What we're going to do today is we're going to talk about how to do that. We're going to talk about how to get beyond the production plateau. Now, there's 5 things up here. There's understanding 5 steps to getting beyond the production plateau. First one is develop your mindset. Develop your prospecting mindset. Now, what I mean by that is you really have to, it's interesting because I had someone one time say to me, I'm not even there yet. I mean, you can teach me all the tools, techniques, strategies, and solutions, but I'm not even there to pick up the phone and call anyone. You see, she was stuck because she hadn't developed her prospecting mindset. So that's the first step. We're going to talk about that in a second. Now, one of the things I want to bring up that I've heard and I believe is that you can always, if you get one good idea from a presentation, one good idea, it's worth it. So at the end of this presentation, I'm going to ask you, I'm just going to go around the room and I might just pick people out that I know, Shelley or Ryan or whoever, and I may ask you, hey, what's your single takeaway? What'd you get out of this today? So commit one to memory or write them down. Okay? Does that make sense, everyone? Yeah? Good. You're going to hear me say that a lot. Does that make sense before I move on? So when you hear that, say yes if it does make sense. And if it doesn't, say no, and I'll slow down. Okay? So the first one, develop your prospecting mindset. The second one, discover your prospecting method. I'm going to talk a little bit about what your strong suit is, or how do you figure out what your strong suit is. Determine your prospecting system. So what do I do? So if I like to go to networking events, what's my system going to networking events? Does that make sense, everyone? Yeah? Good. Okay. Number 4, develop your prospecting skill set. Sets, plural. Hopefully you have more than one. That's what Gail needed. She really needed help with specific things. And so we did. We worked on those. And then deploy, assess, and adjust your plan. In other words, is it working? Is it not working? Okay? Because if it's not working, you figure out that you have a challenge, and you work on that challenge. Does that make sense, everyone? Yeah? Good. Okay. We're going to cover each one of these, and you're going to get sick of me saying, does that make sense, everyone? So, let's talk about this sign. My assistant found this sign, and I think it's great. Plateau. Beyond this point, change needed for further growth. Anybody ever feel like that? Like, I just need some change. I'm the only one? Let's see a show. Yeah? Yeah. And that's probably why you're in here today. See, that's the first step, to figure out, okay, I do need change. I don't like where I'm at. So, let's take a look at the first step. Why do most advisors and agents reach a plateau? I don't even know if this thing is on. Is this on? Why do you think most people, agents and advisors, reach a plateau? Anyone?
You find where you're comfortable and stick with that.
Yeah. You get into your comfort zone and you just stay there. That's a dual mic. Why else?
You stop doing what you did to make you successful.
Wow, that's common. You stop doing what you did to make you successful. And I remember the day was 10 years. I was in production for 10 years, and I thought, man, I don't have much of a pipeline right now. And I thought, why don't I have much of a pipeline right now? Well, it could be because I don't prospect, So, so I went back to prospecting. Why else? Anyone? Sam.
You just waste your time and not focus on your work.
Man, that is so common, Sam. We talked about that earlier. Not that we set the stage for this or we practiced it all, but you would think we did right there. But we talked about that. A lot of people waste time. It's a common challenge. Yeah. There's some reasons behind it. There's a lot of reasons why people waste time. Were you waving at the guy leaving or wanting the mic? Good.
Unless you hire assistants.
Yeah, you want to try that again? Yeah.
As you get more clients in a larger book of business, doing service work takes up more time unless you hire assistants to help you do that.
Or, and that's one solution, hire somebody to do something that you don't like to do. Or, if you like to do it, make it the first thing in the morning that you do. That's another solution. Let's talk about some other ways. Actually, let's talk about the solutions. So, I think it's because a lot of people don't understand the production trend line. Let me explain what that is. Has everybody heard of a stock trend line? Where stock goes up to here, comes back down to here, and it kind of keeps going in that range? Yeah? I believe that everybody has a production trend line that they're comfortable with. Somebody had said that over here, you're comfortable in your comfort zone. So picture this. Don't picture that, but picture this one. The production support line is the fear of failure. In other words, picture this. The fear of failure, if I don't hit a certain number, what's going to happen is I don't pay my bills, or I don't put enough away in retirement, or I just don't, I don't feel comfortable because I'm under this threshold. So the support line is, your motivation behind the support line is your fear of not hitting your goals or not paying the bills or whatever it is, okay? Now, the resistance line is a strange thing that most people don't even think about. The fear of success. Have you ever done this? Have you ever had, let's see a show of hands. How many people here have had a record month? Let's see that. All of you should raise your hand. Yeah. Okay, so you've had a record month. Now, let's see, was the next month down? Let's see it. Let's see a show of hands. Yeah. There's a reason why. One of the reasons why, and I've had people say, well, it's because I closed everything in my pipeline. Well, that could be. And other people have said, well, it's because, I did really well the previous month, and I just didn't want to work as hard. That's more of the truth, I believe. You see, if you consistently hit records, or if you hit a record, and then you think to yourself, well, I did pretty well, I'm going to stop. A lot of people are like that. In fact, I had a guy say to me, he said to me, it was in the first week of the year, and he said, it's going to be a great month. So it's January 1st, that first week, and I said, why is it going to be a great month? He said, I'm going to do 18,000 gross commissions this month. He was a financial advisor. And I said, how do you know that? And he said, well, because I've got 16,000 in fees that are hitting this month. I said, well, that's great. So you're going to do 2,000 this month. He said, no. I'm going to do 18. I'm like, no. You're going to do 2, and you're going to hang out, not do anything. And he admitted to it. He said, well, yeah, but these are the months that I like to not do anything. And I said, well, wait a minute. Why don't you hit a real goal? Why don't you create a new goal? Your fee-based months are just like every other month, except you work a little smarter and you keep having appointments. And why don't you do 26? Why don't you do 28? Guess what that guy did that month? Anyway, so what do you think he did? 18. He didn't do 18. He had a stretch goal. This guy hit numbers he never thought he could hit. And now he had a new reference point. You see, he didn't have the fear of success anymore. It was, I can do that? So he changed his mindset. Does that make sense, everyone? Yeah? The second thing, they don't understand the paradox of procrastination. Now, I was asked by a friend of mine who was a staff sergeant if I would come in and speak to the military. I don't know if you've ever gone in to speak to the military when you've never been in the military, but it's a little bit intimidating, to tell the military personnel what to do. So I came in, and it was on mastering motivation and momentum. And it was about things such as the paradox of prospecting. Now, but it wasn't really the paradox of prospecting, it was more the paradox of procrastination. And I gave them an analogy that most people do this. People view every task as either pleasurable or painful. So I knew that I had to help them understand what I meant. And so I said, picture this, taking out the garbage. Does anybody like taking out the garbage? And nobody said yes, nobody likes to take out the garbage. And I said, well, wait a minute. People will take action when it is more pleasurable, so if they like to take out the garbage, or when the pain of not doing it overweighs the doing it. So in other words, if that garbage piles up and piles up and piles up, what's going to happen? You're going to what? Take out the garbage. Yeah. Same thing with prospecting. Same thing with anything. But here's the paradox. The paradox of prospecting that I've seen over and over again is, well, I don't really like to prospect, but I'll do it. And so a lot of advisors and agents, they have, a pipeline where they write down who's in my pipeline. But I don't really want to call those people, because if I call those people and they're not interested in meeting with me, they're not really in my pipeline anymore. Here's the paradox. You're not working with those people if you don't call them. Yeah? Has anybody ever gone through that before? I have. I'll admit that. Yeah? And so you think to yourself, well, this could be a big case, or this could be a big client. I think I'll wait until tomorrow. I don't think I'm ready. This guy just got back from vacation. And you start giving yourself excuses when in reality, they're not going to be a client. So that's part of developing your prospecting mindset. Now, I'm throwing a lot at you at the end of the day. I know I am. But bear with me. All we're really trying to get here is some good ideas. So write those down. Now, here's the third thing. What's the most important step to getting beyond the production plateau? I'm going to explain a concept that I was in Mississippi, and I was in this huge auditorium, and I spent an hour on this concept. An hour on this concept. It's so important. And it's a concept that I've never seen before, but it's something that I stressed because I'd never seen anybody talk about it this way, but I started to spot it in 2008. Now, does anybody remember what happened in 2008 to the market? If you were, yeah? Can anybody forget what happened in 2008 to the market? Yeah, exactly. Anybody want to forget? So at any rate, what I found is a lot of people weren't doing things that they knew they needed to do. And so I started to look at purpose, value, strengths, belief systems, and actions. And I started to see a correlation. Picture this. if you can. Picture this. You have to define your purpose. In other words, why am I in this business? Okay? Why am I in this business? And that's what's going on in your heart. Why am I in this business? Now think of going to a chiropractor. If you're going to a chiropractor to get your back adjusted, anybody ever do that? Yeah? And they, you hear all these cracks and it's kind of neat and you feel better and stuff because you were out of alignment. I think a lot of businesses are out of alignment. Here's what I mean. Define your business purpose. Why am I in this business? Okay? I'm just going to throw out the question. Why am I in this business? And let's just hear some answers. Anyone? Why are you in the business?
Well, to create a career, to help my family, and to help the people in my community.
Good. To help my family? I like it. Why are you in the business? Anyone? Shelley? Oh, I keep picking on you because you're right on the aisle. Yeah. You should have got a window seat. Yeah.
Helping people.
Helping
I love
people.
helping people.
A lot of people say that, and I completely agree. That's why I got in this business too.
So I can get to a point where I can do what I want to do.
So I can have more freedom, do what I want to do. How about yourself? Why do you think you're in this business?
Same thing, help people that you like and enjoy working with.
Okay. So what's important to you about helping people that you like?
You get satisfaction out of it.
So you just told me your value. That's the second thing. The second thing is your business values. Satisfaction. Well, this is good. Now look at the third thing, your strengths. What are you good at? Okay? So I had a guy say to me one time, at the beginning, my business purpose. My business purpose is I want to help people. I've heard a few of those already. I want to help people. And I don't want to put you to sleep, though. I want to help people. What's important to you about helping people? Well, I feel good about it. So what are you good at? What are you great at? And this guy said, well, I'm good at working with my clients. I like my clients like me, and I love my clients. My clients become friends. And I thought, that's great. That's good. So you're out helping people, and your clients become friends. Tell me a little bit about what you believe. Know your business belief systems. What do you believe? And he said, what do you mean? I said, what do you believe about, your business? Do you believe you can be a top producer? And he said, oh yeah, I can be a top producer. I said, good. What do you believe about, your clients? Well, I like my clients, they like me. Okay, good. Well, what do you believe about the market? And he said, well, the market's not doing too well. That was in 2008. And I said, what do you believe about prospecting? Well, nobody really wants to talk to me right now. Nobody that's not my client. They don't want to get bothered. I said, oh, okay. So get ready for this. Know your business actions. And the action was, I said, so what are you doing when it comes to prospecting? Well, I'm not prospecting. Well, wait a minute. Let me get this straight. So your heart is you're here to help people. Yeah. But your head is, I'm not calling any people to help. Do you see how you're out of alignment? And he said, I do. So what do you think you should do? And he said, I think I should start calling people. I think you're right. And so we started working on him calling people. Does that make sense, everyone? Yeah? It's common. It's more common than you might think. And I'm not laughing at people. It's just, it is what it is. And it's so common. Most people, I could spend about less than 5 minutes with someone and find out where they need an adjustment. Because I've been doing this. I'm on the phone anywhere from 5 to 6 hours a day in coaching sessions. I've been coaching for almost 10 years. In January, it'll be 10 years. And I was in production for 13 years before that. There isn't a challenge I haven't seen or a solution I haven't applied, but I'm always looking for a new one, challenge and solution. And most advisors run into that one when it comes to what's going on in their mindset. So things to remember. To develop your prospecting mindset, you must get beyond your fear of both failure and success. So get beyond this support and resistance. In other words, I'm here to help people, so I'm doing the activities to help people. And yeah, I get rejected, big deal. I'm going to help people that want help. I'm going to leave everybody else behind. One thing I've told people is I don't coach desire. If you don't want to grow, that's fine. I can't care about your business more than you care about your business. It doesn't work that way. And so if they don't want help, I move on. So, yep.
A quick question, it's probably totally off your track. Where do you think the fear of success comes from? Because people always talk about fear of failure, but I find the fear of success quite often in people, and
Yeah.
I'm curious what your thoughts are, where that comes from.
Here's my thought about the fear of success, or my theory about it. The fear of success really comes from this, I would say it's almost a feeling not worthy, that I'm really not a top producer. I had a great month, but if I keep working so hard, I become a top producer. Well, and then they start going down this avenue of, I'm not worthy, I'm not, valuable enough. It's not in my own, ability to sustain that. Top producers know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. Or, like one person said to me, I couldn't handle another 5 clients. I'm so busy. And I said, well, wait a minute. You've got the wrong systems. And so he was never going to grow his business. So sometimes the fear of success is, if I become successful and I'm doing twice the business, I have twice the headaches, and I don't need that in my life. So they hold themselves back. Yeah. Does that make sense, everyone? Yeah? So get past viewing tasks as painful and pleasurable, meaning, oh, geez, I got to call people, and waiting until the last minute, And it's kind of like, picture this. Anybody ever have a gym membership? Anybody have a gym membership? Yeah. And on January 1st, you see a lot of people. Did you say 2? You got 2 gym memberships? Oh, okay. You put 2 fingers up, and I thought, 2? Why do you need 2? One for the morning, one for the afternoon? I don't know. And on January 1st, it seems like everybody goes into the gym, and then, and then it slows down a little bit, right? And after about 6 weeks or whatever it is, it's like, where are those guys? Geez, there was a lot of people. So what they do is they don't go one day, or they skip 2 days this week, or they don't have an accountability partner to work out with, and then pretty soon it's, I haven't gone in a month. But I'm not going to get rid of that gym membership. I had a gym membership, I got to share this with you. I had a gym membership that I was grandfathered in. It was like $25 a month. And I thought, you know what I need? Because I'm not going to the gym? I need a more expensive gym membership. Yeah. So I get one that's like $40 a month. That's not the solution. No, just an FYI. So the third thing, get your business purpose and business actions in sync with one another. In other words, what's your heart? Why are you in this business? And what are you doing when you're in this business? Get those in sync. So, any questions about this before we move on? No? Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask a quick question and see if anybody knows the answer to this. But when I do this, I'm also going to pass this bowl around because we're going to have a drawing. I've got a 24-week group coaching program. 24-week group coaching program, and I'm going to give away a free group coaching program to one person by the time we finish this. So as it goes through, don't put any money in the plate. It's not that kind of thing. Yeah, it's not the offering, but throw your card in there. So I want to talk about discovering your business or your prospecting method. Now, you have to know who you are. Are you the hunter or the farmer? Are you the hunter or the farmer? Has anybody here, let's see your hand go up if you know what I'm talking about, the hunter versus the farmer. Yeah, few people don't. Okay. Well, here's the hunter. The hunter loves to identify prospects. They love to identify prospects. They love to get appointments, have discovery meetings, find the need and fill it, close those meetings, get back to hunting. They love to get out there and talk to people. I was a hunter, big time. I loved finding people. The interesting thing about that, and I wrote it in my book, in my first year in production, I opened 100 accounts. In my second year in production, I opened 100 more accounts. But the interesting thing about that is, well, I brought in 3 times the assets. That's not the interesting part. But it was the day that my father said to me, hey, how are things going? And I said, things are going great. First year I opened 100. Second year I opened another 100. And he said, great. So are you busy? I said, geez, I'm prospecting all the time. And he said, what about your clients? And I said, Dad, I don't have time to talk to my clients. I'm prospecting. So my dad paused, and he said, the inevitable, he said, so how did you get those clients? And I said, what do you mean? How'd you get them? I cold called them. But why'd they go with you? Well, because their advisor wasn't talking to him. Yeah, see where this is going? See where this is going? So he said, wait a minute. So why wouldn't they just go to somebody else? And I said, Dad, I got to go. I got to call these guys, because you're right. I got to start calling my clients. So, are you the hunter or the farmer? Now, here's the farmer. How many people here think they are the farmer? They love to do these things. Let's see your hand go up if you think you're the farmer. Yeah. Well, the farmer's an interesting person. I like farmers. I like farmers because farmers like a challenge and they like to figure the whole thing out. They like the puzzle. They like to read the directions. So the farmer identifies the challenges, whether they're insurance needs or they are investment needs, they figure it out, okay? And they identify the solutions. Thank you, by the way. They identify the solutions and they monitor the client's plan or whatever they're doing for their client. They cultivate the relationships and they love to talk to their clients, okay? Here's the tough part. If you or someone on your team is a hunter, you have to know your strengths. But if you don't have a hunter on your team and you're all alone and you're the farmer, you're not going to really grow unless you start to become a hunter. Does that make sense, everyone? Yeah? Anybody ever go through that? Yeah? That's when you hit the production plateau. Yeah. It's because I love talking to my clients. Geez, this day went by fast. Ooh, geez, there went a month, there went a year. I had a guy say to me one time, when I was newer in the business, he had been in for 24 years. He wasn't the elevator guy. He just FYI. But this guy said to me, I haven't prospected in 12 years. I said, what? What do you mean? And he said, well, I get referrals every once in a while, but I just like talking to my clients. And I thought, how could you have grown this thing if you didn't prospect? So the answer is he didn't. He had 12 years where he was growing, and he's been plateauing the whole time. And when the bear market hit, because he was more on the investment side, he switched to insurance, tried to do some insurance just to supplement his income, cross-sell. But really, the reality is he wasn't growing his business, which wasn't good. So he brought his son in after his son graduated from college to be the hunter, which is a smart move. Now, there's a couple of ways to prospect. I think there's 5 ways to prospect. If there's another one, I want to hear it, okay? Cold calling, cold walking, networking, seminars, and referrals. Is there anything else? Is there anything that I'm missing here for prospecting? And it's not a trick question. I'm just curious. No? Here's how you don't get stalemated and bored. Did you have one? Direct mail. Yeah? You could send out. I did that. Yeah, it's not much of hunting. It's got a passive hunting. You're hunting from the car and shooting out the window, Yeah, that's called poaching. That's illegal. Yeah. That's not in the script, by the way, FYI. But at any rate, I did that, and I sent out, I think it was 500 letters a week for about, somebody else was paying for it, so I did it, And I did that for almost 6 months, and nothing came out of it. No. Yeah. So always use 2 prospecting methods. Always use 2 prospecting methods because that way you won't get bored. So let's get a recap. Things to remember to discover your prospecting methods. And I'm throwing a lot at you. Any questions so far? Yes, sir. You bet. That's okay. Some things to remember. Find your prospecting strength. And one of the ways to find your prospecting strength is this. Think in terms of what did you do to get to where you are? So years ago, were you cold calling? Were you doing seminars? Were you networking? And if you were doing some of those things and they were successful, go back to your strength. But this time, don't work harder. Work smarter. Get better at what your strength was. Okay? So let's get a recap. Things to remember. And I have no idea what time it is or how long we've gone. Sorry about that. But things to remember to discover your prospecting method. Know who you are. Are you the hunter or the farmer? Are you the hunter or the farmer? I've seen some great teams that have hunters and farmers on it. I've seen some teams where literally, and I'm thinking of one, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it in a second, one of the best teams I've ever seen. She is such a hunter, and these 2 guys are farmers. And these 2 guys They know everything about the market. If you asked her about this, she wouldn't have a clue. But she knows everything about connecting with people. And she is a people person, and she is a hunter and loves it. So the second thing, become a hunter or find a hunter to be on your team. That could be a junior advisor or a junior agent. The tough part about that is I was speaking at some Merrill Lynch offices. I was asked to go out and speak at Merrill Lynch offices about creating teams. And they had suggested, and I don't think they made it up, I don't think they created this, but there's horizontal teams and there's vertical teams. Has anybody ever heard of this, horizontal teams and vertical teams? No? A horizontal team is, a horizontal team is you're teaming up with someone. I've been a hunter for years. I don't really like cross-selling and doing insurance or whatever, but this person loves insurance, and they have a huge insurance book, so we're going to be a team, and we're going to cross-sell and so on. A vertical team is, I've been in the business for 30 years, 35 years. I've got all of these clients. I'm so swamped. I've got this administrative person, and think of a line, a vertical line. I need a junior advisor to do what I don't like to do, because I don't have time to do what I don't like to do, or I don't want to do what I don't like to do. And so it's important to find someone to be on your team if you get to that level. You know, I suggest a good team is a smart move to grow your business and get to the next level and get beyond the production plateau. But there's a lot to think about, and we don't even have time to go over all of that. Know your prospecting strengths. Know what you're good at. And have at least 2 prospecting methods to avoid burnout. Now, I'm covering a lot of stuff after a very busy day, after 3 or 4 busy days, and so I'm going to throw this question out to you. Does anybody have any questions so far? Yeah. Yes, you can. Can you be a hunting farmer or a farming hunter, right? Yes, you can. If you do this, if you have specific times when you're a farmer and a hunter. And so we used to, years ago, when I was at A.G. Edwards years ago, I was there for 9 years, we had this thing called a squawk box. It was this little speaker, and it had a phone on that you just pick up, and you could be talking to the person at the other end. It wasn't a phone, you don't dial, but yeah, it was kind of strange. And everybody had one in their offices, and you just turned it on. And we had these advisor success stories, and this woman was telling me she was a $1 million producer, and I know a lot of you do insurance, and it's not kind of, you know, your thing, but she was a $1 million producer, and she was explaining what she was doing. And she got done, and my big thing back then when I was a brand new rookie was I couldn't wait for them to hang up because I'd call them. I'd track them down, get their phone number, call them, and I'd ask the same question. What are you really doing? And she said, I got 2 jobs. In the morning, I find new clients, new prospects. From 8 o'clock until noon, I take lunch, I come back, and I work with my clients. She was a hunter-farmer, you know. So it is possible, but you have to be very regimented, you know. Great question. Any other questions before we move on? Anyone? No? Okay. So let's talk about determining your prospecting system. I love that picture. Yeah, I looked at that and I thought, oh, that's great. And this sums it up. Do you know how to prospect like a veteran? You see, you don't want to prospect like a rookie unless you're brand new in the business, and then you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know it. Unconscious incompetence. Now, I've worked with a lot of rookies, and I've worked with multi-million-dollar producers and huge insurance producers that have agencies and so on. And at any rate, rookies, this is what I see. And I'm on the phone 5 to 6 hours a day. This is what I see. Rookies have really no target market. Sometimes they have a phone book, you know, and they just call anyone. I did that. I think I made it to the M's and I quit, you know, because I had too many prospects. They have no prospecting system, so they have the say and pray method. In other words, pick up the phone. Anybody ever hear of the say and pray method? No? It's pick up the phone and say anything and pray that it works. Yeah. Typically, it doesn't work, you know, and you get the same objections and that kind of thing, and then you're trying to learn from your mistakes. And it's tough. It's tough when you're starting out. So you want to prospect like a veteran. How many people here have been in the business for more than 5 years? Okay, good. So a couple of days ago, I didn't tell the Yats you want to prospect like a veteran because really they're kind of at a different spot, and that's fine. You know, some of them are. But a veteran prospects like this, they have a strategic target market. In other words, and I don't know if it was Derek or who it was that I talked to the other day, but we were talking about target markets. Was that you, Derek? No? Business owners and no? I met so many people. And one guy said, well, yeah, I have a specific target market. And I said, you would be shocked at how many people don't. So here's an example. What's your target market? Business owners. Okay, great. All business owners? You know, business owners in Vancouver? And you live in Phoenix? You know, well, I mean, who's your target market? Business owners. What kind of business owners? Restaurant owners. Are they mom and pop restaurant owners or are they franchisee owners? Franchisee owners. Okay, where? In Minneapolis. Now you got a target market. You see how I'm whittling it down? Because if you have a good target market, they know each other a lot of times. Okay, does that make sense, everyone? Yeah? Good. So, veteran prospecting have a strategic target market. They have strong value proposition statements. So some people say this, I work for XYZ firm. But who are you? I'm Joe Smith. I work for XYZ firm. Okay, great. There's no value proposition statement. You're not really saying what you do. And I hope there's no Joe Smith in the room. I didn't mean any specific Joe Smith or anything like that. But I'm so-and-so, and I work for such and such. There's no value proposition statement. You need a strong value proposition statement about what you do and how you help people. You need to define your goals and objectives. That's what a veteran prospect does. So they say things like this. I'm going to focus today for 45 minutes on calling brand new people who are restaurant owners, they're franchisee owners, and they're here in San Antonio. And they have a list. And they know what they're going to say. They know how they're going to handle the objections. So they have a well-planned prospecting system. And that's what made the difference for Gail. You see, Gail, when she got that system down, because I taught her the system, she was ready for objections. You know, she couldn't wait for the objection because she had practiced what to do when she got an objection. And then the final thing is implement your prospecting system regularly, actually, and monitoring it. Is it working? Is it not working? If it's not working, you probably just figured out what was wrong. So you're not unconsciously incompetent anymore. You know that you have a challenge now. Does that make sense, everyone? Yeah? Okay, good. So I couldn't wait to get to here. I've been waiting this whole time to get to here to tell you some stories. This is a story about one of the best hunters I've ever met, ever. And I worked with her for 4 years. And her name's Sandra, and I wish she was here right now. And she's in Toronto. She is the Bag Lady of Bay Street. The Bag Lady of Bay Street, that's her brand. That's what she calls herself. It's just fantastic. And you would think that's a strange brand, like Bag Lady, that's not too successful. But her whole message is empowering women to understand their money so they never end up destitute on the street. You see, I had asked her, okay, so who's your target market? She said, wealthy, high net worth women. And I said, what's their number one challenge? Their number one challenge is that they don't ever want to lose everything they have. That's their fear. I said, okay. So what's your brand? And her brand is, she's the Bag Lady of Bay Street. So how do you market yourself? She clearly defined her target market as women from 50 to 75. And the way she was tapping into that target market is this. A lot of these women had female attorneys. Okay? So her goal was to have every female attorney that had been in the business for over 10 years know who she is. So we talked about how are you going to do that. Here's what she came up with. It was brilliant. She said, here's what we're going to do. We are going to send out I don't even know if I have it on here. We're going to mail a purse, a bag. She calls it a bag, part of her brand. We're going to mail a purse, about $100, to every attorney. So she'd send out a half dozen, and then she'd do follow-up calls. She would have, it was so incredible. She'd have this little letter and a card in there and say, hi, I'm Sandra Pierce, the Bag Lady of Bay Street. Please accept this bag as a gift. I just wanted to introduce myself. I thought I'd give you a call in a few days, blah, 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 which is fantastic because these women, do you think they opened up that purse? Yeah? Oh, yeah. Yeah. They opened up that purse. Do you think they picked up her call? Let's hear it. Oh, yeah, yeah. And then she started having lunch with a lot of these women, and they started becoming clients. And then she started doing workshops, Women, Wealth, and Wisdom. Great, snappy title. I love it, Women, Wealth, and Wisdom. And they started bringing their clients, and it was all about education. So she brought in her hunters, or farmers, these two guys that were not hunters at all. And it was good, and she connected with a lot of people. And she created a charity just because she felt that she wanted to. It wasn't for business. It was the power of the purse, and she still does this. Great with her brand. The power of the purse, what it's all about is helping. It's a charitable organization for underprivileged girls in Africa. So she starts inviting her clients, and they start bringing their friends. And what was interesting about that, we had a goal, and I know a lot of people do insurance, but her big thing is gathering assets and stuff like that. And she had a goal of, she said, do you think I could bring in, she said, 10 million this year. And I laughed, and I said, I've brought in 10 million by myself in a year. Yeah, you can bring in a lot more because you have a team, and you're not alone. She said, what do you think I could do? I said, I think you could do 20. She brought in 10 million in 1 month. 1 month by 3 people. Actually, it was 12 million. 2 people with 5 million each, and 1 person with 2 million. 3 clients. So how did she do that? They were at her organization, her charitable organization, the power of the purse. She got to know them, and then we had a system for how she followed up to get together, grab some lunch, and she explained what her message is. This is veteran prospecting. Does this make sense at all? Yeah? I think it's brilliant, but that's not the only way to prospect. Here's another one. So in the same company in Toronto is this team, and I work with 5 out of 7 of these people on the team. The team just keeps growing. They keep calling me, you want to work with so-and-so? Who's that? We hired another guy. Great. They have what I call, and I kind of tell them this, you have the assembly line prospecting system. This may not apply to you, but I want you to be aware of where I'm going with this. The assembly line prospecting system is this. What they do is they have a clearly defined message that their message is empowering professionals to achieve their financial goals through a unique, active, blah, 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 blah. Great message. Whatever, that's fine. But their target market is a little bit younger, 45 to 55 attorneys. And they kind of focus on the male attorneys. The average in downtown Toronto attorney that's been in the business for a while, they found out makes around $400,000. So they had a clearly defined goal to educate enough of the target market to gather $2 million a month. So here's what they do. This is brilliant. They have almost an assembly line system where the first rookie, the rookie advisor, calls to introduce themselves, and I was so against this, and I was so wrong, but I didn't know it. The rookie calls and introduces himself and says, hey, and his team, and says, hey, do you mind if I send you an email on what we do? Well, that's one of the easiest things for somebody on the other end of the line to say, yeah, send me the email. That's fine. Click, But it just kind of eases them in. That's the first part of the assembly line. Then the next thing is a semi-rookie, the next one with seniority, follows up, and we've worked on exactly what they're going to say, how they're going to handle the objections to set the appointment. So that person, that's what he does all day. And this guy is good. He is good at it. He wasn't good at it 3 or 4 months ago. He was terrible at it. But he's gotten better and better and better because he's waiting for the objections. I'm not interested. I have an advisor. Bam, he knows what to do. Well, let me think about it. I need to read it over. He knows what to do. So he's doing it all day long. So he gets better at it because he's learning what works for other people. So the next person who goes out on the appointment is one of the senior advisors, or maybe 2 of them, to talk about the team and what they do and what makes them different and how they invest money and so on. And then they sometimes bring a 3rd one out just so that this person meets the entire team. And by the time they're done with all of that and they've worked on the objections and they've got the proposal, man, this person has been touched by the whole team and they see that this is a different level. Now, not all of you can do this, but things like that work to get off the production plateau. They easily bring in $2 million a month. Now, that has nothing to do with insurance, although if they were smarter, they would bring in an insurance person on the team if they were smarter. But I'm working on them. you know. So, social networking. This one was brilliant. This guy's name was Mike. Great guy. And I'd never seen this happen before. And this guy was Mike, and it was probably about 3 years ago. And Mike, I heard this the other day about LinkedIn. And Mike jumped on LinkedIn right away. And he had a clearly defined message that he wanted to empower IT professionals to make informed decisions. So what Mike's goal was is to get in front of people that were 35 to 55. You see, and I said to Mike, why do you want to work with these people? He said, well, here's how it works. Here's what I found. I've got a couple of these clients. These guys are very transient. Yep. Thanks for the help. These guys are very transient in the sense that they get hired when things are going well. They get laid off, I should say, when things aren't going well. So they got to go find another place, or they become consultants. You know, they try to work with their old, client base and that kind of thing. And a lot of times the company will, we're going to lay you off, you're going to get laid off, but we might need your help and, blah, blah, blah. So here's what he did. This was brilliant. So he had a couple of clients, and his goal was to be known throughout the local IT professionals network, so to speak, as the advisor to go to because he understood their challenges and their solutions. So he's very, very focused on his niche, okay? So what he did is he got on LinkedIn, and he connected with his current clients that were IT professionals, and he called them and he said, hey, do you mind if I introduce myself to some of your colleagues or your friends in the IT world at different firms? And he told them, I want to work with people like you. They said, yeah, that's fine. So that's what he did. So with permission, he emailed on LinkedIn a little request that, to their colleagues to be linked in together. And I think he paid the extra money. And what he did was, after he got accepted, he'd email them to contact them and explain, hey, I work with so-and-so. I'd love to get together. And the reason is because I work with so many IT professionals. I do surveys to find out what your challenges are. I'd like to show you the results of these surveys because you're probably going through the exact same challenges that all of my clients have gone through. And so what's interesting about that is you've just kind of warmed this person up that, oh, you work with so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so, and you do surveys, and yeah, I'll grab some lunch with you. And so he'd grab lunch with these folks, and he would ask them, so what do you think your challenges are? But he'd talk about the 10 most common challenges with IT professionals. And he'd talk about the solutions. See, I typically find that this, and this happen with IT professionals. It's happened with some of your friends. Has this ever happened to you? And so they're viewing him as this authority. And it was brilliant because he opened a lot of accounts. Any questions so far? Yeah? Shoot me an email. Grab a pen and write this down. Oh, okay. It's super easy. I don't think you're going to forget it. Dan, yeah, at advisorsolutionsinc.com. And in the subject, just put Beyond the Production Plateau PowerPoint. I'll shoot it over to you. Yeah, good. I'm covering a lot of stuff. Let's recap this. We've got 2 more, and then I'm just going to open it up for questions. How are we doing on time? Anyone? We're what? We're a little bit over? Like we should be done right now? Or? Oh, really? Okay, we're going to fly through this because you guys need to go out and eat or whatever. So, things to remember. Clearly define your strategic target market. Have a strong value proposition statement. Define your goals. I'm covering a lot of stuff. And your objectives. Have well thought out prospecting systems and implement those. I'm glad you're taking pictures because I'm about to push the button. So let's talk about number 4. Do you know what the 5 most common prospecting challenges are? I'm just going to go through these and not ask you questions because we're over, and I know it's been a long day or you've had a lot going on. So, number 1, not having structure for prospecting calls. Say and pray method. That's so common. Number 2, not preparing for objections. So I hear I have an insurance agent, but you don't know what to do, Well, do you mind if I send you my card anyway in case anything happens? And I can't tell you how many cards I sent out that way. And nothing happened, Yeah. In fact, I called the guy 34 times, because he kept saying, well, I'm going to retire in 6 months. He'd say, Dan, will you give me a call? He kept saying my name, and I thought, well, he's interested. He'd say, Dan, will you give me a call? And I'd say, yeah. So I called him. One day I called, and his daughter answered. And she said, do you know my dad? And I said, well, I feel like I know your dad right now. I've called him 34 times. I didn't say that, but I was thinking it. And I said, I've never met him, but I've talked to him many times, and I've talked to your mom, Lucy. And she said, my dad passed away. We just came from his funeral. Yeah. And I said, oh, you want to talk to my mom? No, not right now. And so I called Lucy about a month later. I said, Lucy, I heard about George. She said, yeah, well, I'm interested in talking to you. Can you call me in a couple months? And I said, Lucy, if I don't have to call you. She said, well, no, we've had somebody for years. I never asked the right questions. I didn't know they had anybody. I had no idea. So, number 3, not being able to track your progress. You don't know what you're doing or how well you're doing. Number 4, not understanding the 3 most important types of sales techniques. I'll cover those in just a second. Number 5, not understanding when and how to close. These are common. I'm glad you're taking pictures. Please email me because I will shoot you these. I'm fine with that. Yeah. So, I got to tell you about these tools and then we'll finish up. Okay? Is that okay, everyone? Yeah? Okay. Because there's so much I want to tell you about. In fact, I don't know if you know this or not, but there's a bunch of books behind me, and it took me 2 years to write this book. It's a thick book. There's a lot of solutions in here. I've got about 20 here. So if anybody wants a book at the end, when we finish up, just let me know. I'm selling them cheaper than I was before because I don't want to take them home. So, so let's talk about framing the conversation. This is the opposite of say and pray. This is the opposite of say and pray. And I'm all for prayer. But I'm saying it publicly. Yeah, I am. But I think it's important to be prepared when you make the calls. Most people wing it. Don't do that. Instead, frame the conversation. Intro, reason, 3 benefits, close. Intro, legally we have to do that. Who you are, where you're from. They want to know. The reason for my call is, get to the point, The reason for my call is, I'd like to get together with you at Tuesday at 3 or Wednesday at 4 so that I can show you how I help my clients reduce taxes, have more money in retirement, and make sure their family's taken care of. Most people don't realize what will happen to their family if anything were to happen to them. Do you have any time at Tuesday at 3 or Wednesday at 4? Which one's better for you? I just covered that in about 30 seconds or less. Frame the conversation. 2 things are going to happen here. 1, they're going to say yes. And 2, what's the opposite of yes? Exactly. They're going to say no. And if they say no, they're going to give it to you in the form of an objection. They're going to say, well, I have an advisor. I have an agent. I'm busy. Those things. Here's a process, the objection resolution model. It's a 4-step process that works, and it works, and it works. And I stress that 3 times because it works. Empathy acknowledgement. I have an advisor. I completely understand. In fact, everybody I've ever worked with had an advisor or an agent. But I'm curious, best question. If there was one thing you could change about your relationship with your current advisor, if you could change anything, what would that be? Well, I never hear from the guy. The reason, what's that? See me more often, I would have thought. You want to see him more often? Yep. I never hear from the guy, or something like that. Well, the reason I'm asking you that is because I have a client servicing system, Benefit One, that I'd like to show you so my clients know how often I see them. In addition to that, I'd like to show you how I help them reduce their taxes and make sure their family's taken care of. Do you have any time close at Tuesday at 3 or Wednesday at 4? Which one's better for you? Now, how powerful would you be to get off the production plateau if you had a system like that and you could do it like that? Very powerful, right? Yeah. That's what I teach. That's one of the things I teach. And that's just one of the ways. I've got 3 ways to handle objections. Then the other thing is the pipeline. I talked to someone about their pipeline the other day, when I was in my booth. And I said, most people have a pipeline. Sometimes they have it in their head. I need to call this guy, this guy, this guy. And other times they write it down. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4. These are people I need to call. But rarely do they really know where the person is in the pipeline. So I spend a whole hour in group coaching on looking at the pipeline and saying, okay, there's a process for this. It's the 9-step client acquisition process. It's all about stranger to client. What's step 1? The initial contact. Step 2, understanding their needs. Step 3, I want to make sure I get the appointment. Step 4, I need to reconfirm the appointment. Step 5, I need to be in the first appointment. Step 6, reconfirm the second appointment. Step 7, have the second appointment. There's 2 more. Now, if you don't have a process for your pipeline, you probably don't have a great pipeline. You know, does that make sense? Yeah. I'm going to talk about these things, and boy, we're pressed for time. So, unfortunately, I'm going to go over this quickly. Questions-based selling, story-based selling. Questions-based selling is really how to ask better questions. And there's a process for this. There's a process for this that I talked to the YAT folks about yesterday, or 2 days ago. Story-based selling. How many people here use stories in their presentations? Yeah? Smart move. How many people, of you folks that raise your hand again if you ever wrote down the story. Uh-oh. No? Okay. 1, 2, okay. 3, okay. It's smart to write it down so you can practice it, you know? Personality-based selling. Anybody ever hear about personality-based selling? What that is? Yeah? 1, okay. 2, personality-based selling is being able to identify somebody's personality type and being able to connect with them. But here's the tough part. What do you do when opposites attract? When you're sitting down with a couple and you're connecting with one, but you're not connecting with the other. That happened to me on my birthday. I'll never forget it. I got to tell this quick story and we'll move on. On my birthday, I'm sitting down with this couple and he was just full of energy. And she wanted to know all the details. And I don't have the details, you know. I got the energy. So we're connecting, and I said to this guy, so what do you think? Should we do it? And he said, yeah, let's do it. And she whipped her head around and looked at him, and she said, we're going to talk about it in the car. Now, the funny thing is, they must still be in the car, because I never heard from them. Yeah, it's not that funny. Because I called, and they weren't there. They didn't answer the phone, and they didn't call me back. And there was a reason, because I didn't connect with her. Okay? So, how much over are we? About 5 minutes, 10 minutes? 25 minutes? 15 minutes? Jeez. Wow, let's wrap this up. I teach all of this stuff. SPIN, S-P-I-N, it's an acronym for situational-based questions, problem-based questions, implication, and needs payoff. It's a way to uncover facts. We all do it. How old are you? How long have you been in the business? You know, how much coverage do you have? Things like that. What concerns you most about not being insured? Uncovering problems. And then also implication. What do you think is going to happen if you got in an accident on the way home? Now they're starting to think, maybe I should get insured. And how do you think it would benefit you most if we took a look at how much more that coverage would cost? Okay? So it's a process. And it's important to understand it because it will help. Now, I'm going to skip over the whole story-based selling. I spent an hour on it. And I'm going to skip over, which I hate skipping over this stuff because, as you can tell, I'm passionate about it because it works. Personality-based selling is so important. If you don't understand what the personality type is, you probably aren't going to make a great connection. Now, closing clues. Interesting about this is I remember the day when this rookie said to me in group, he said, after we spent an hour talking about this, the guy said to me, he said, so before we go, I'm about to go to a meeting. What do I say? I'm like, what? After an hour. And I said, here's what you do. You look for closing signals, rubbing of the chin, unfolding the arms, that kind of thing, nodding the head, grabbing the paperwork, pulling it towards you. You know, that'd be a good signal. That means green light, go, you know. So when you see any of these signals, ask for the order. Or if there's a verbal closing signal, like, so how long would it take to get the policy? Or how long would it take to move the money over? Ask for the order. I mean, answer the question, but ask for the order. So my point is, he went out and did that, and he spotted it right away. She's not right away, but in the presentation, she starts rubbing her chin. And I told him 3 questions to ask. Do you have any other questions? No. Can you see how this can help you? Yeah. Are you comfortable moving ahead? Yeah. He came back to the office. He starts writing an email to me, and he entitled it, "The Easiest Close I Ever Did." He tells his buddy who was in group with us the story. His buddy goes on an appointment in the afternoon with the senior advisor. He's telling the senior advisor this on the way to the appointment. They get to the appointment, they're in this appointment, and that prospect starts rubbing her chin. The senior advisor looks at the junior advisor, and these guys are trying not to laugh, you know? The senior advisor didn't hesitate. He jumps right in and asked for the order, and he got the order. And then he went back and told his buddy, and his buddy sent me another email. And it works. It works. Those kinds of strategies work, and that's how you get off the production plateau. Now, things to remember, and I'm going to finish this up. Create structure for your calls. Prepare your objections. Track your progress, and understand how to use these strategies. Now, how do you put it all together? We're going to finish up here. You apply the plan. You have some kind of a plan, and you have people that fit the roles that you don't like to do. Okay? And that's easier said than done sometimes. You assess the plan. How is it going? Are we getting any farther along, or are we not? And then you adjust the plan. Because if it's not working, let's make it work. Let's make it work. Now, do we have that bowl for that drawing? Oh, okay. Good, good. Okay. Here's what I think makes a great business. It's a AAA rated business, and here's what that's what I call it, AAA rated business. 3 A's, awareness, action, and accountability. See, you can get awareness and read a book and put it on the shelf. A guy said that to me, and I put him in my book, because he said, I read all the books I can get my hands on. I read these books, I put them on the shelf, and nothing happens. I said, wait a minute, do you know why nothing happens? He goes, I don't do anything. Like, exactly, you got to do something. So the guy got into my group coaching program and didn't do anything, and I put him in my book on what not to do, you know. So awareness, that's the first step. But if you don't take action, the awareness goes away. But if you take action and you have accountability, then you're going to continue to take action, and you're going to turn it into a habit. Now, what you learned today was a lot of stuff. And I won't go over all of this stuff because I know you're ready to go, and that's fine. But what I think is important, things to remember, all advisors and agents go through this production plateau. Every one of us. We've all done it, all done it. You now have a 5-step process, and shoot me an email, and I will, without a doubt, make sure you get this PowerPoint. And then it's up to you to increase your awareness, action, and accountability. I can help you. We can help you. I have helped everyone from brand new advisor or agent to a veteran that's been around for 30-some years. So, at the beginning I said I feel like I'm treading water and looking for land. Well, at the end of my book, I put this saying in there. I feel like I'm the lighthouse for those who are treading water and looking for land. And if you need help, I'm here to help you. Now, any questions before we go? Yeah, that's an old picture. Yeah, I shaved. Any questions before we go? No? Let's do this. I'm going to pull a name out of here. And just to be, I saw my card. I didn't put my card in there, but James. I'm going to butcher your name. James O. Yes, James, you won. Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you, everyone. I've got books if anybody wants one.